The last prepared speech for the evening will be delivered by our President, Toastmaster Prabhakar. As per him, attitude is the choice that one makes in life. One, as an individual in our approach to our own thoughts and actions. Second, as a member of society in our approach to handling our relationships. Toastmaster Prabhakar will be attempting his Pathways Level 5 and his topic is Aspiring to Make a Difference and Leave an Impact. May I request DTM Ramesh to read out the objective of Toastmaster Prabhakar's speech?
Thank you, TM Modi. I presume I'm audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Loud and clear.
Thank you. And the purpose statement is a very simple, shortest purpose statement for the longest speech. The purpose of this particular speech is for the member to practice developing and presenting a longer speech. And the timing is 18 to 22 minutes. Thank you.
Toastmaster Prabhakar, aspiring to make a difference and leave an impact. May I request Toastmaster in this room to push back their chairs so that you can see the presentation as well as the speaker? People who are connected online, are you able to see the presentation and the speaker? Please confirm. And
yes, we are.
Okay, great. So there's a small change in the timing also. For the timer, green will start from 18, amber 20, and red 21. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the evening, and thank you all for having me on. Let me start by asking a question. What is the title of my speech today? Anyone?
Aspiring people and leave an impact.
That's pretty easy, isn't it? Yes, you have it on the screen. My speech title is Aspiring to Make a Difference and Leave an Impact. You will now notice that I have marked a few parts of the title on the screen. Aspiring, make a difference, and leave an impact. I have another follow-up question for you. What is key here? Make a difference. Make a difference, Toastmaster Jigar says. Anyone else? Leave an impact, Toastmaster Dinesh says. For me, ladies and gentlemen and Toastmasters, the key is the gap. The gap that I have between my aspiration and where I want to get to, which is to make a difference and leave an impact. The gap, ladies and gentlemen and Toastmasters, is the key for me. Now, again a question, but I will answer it myself. I wouldn't want to trouble you too much. What is the gap? The gap between my aspiration and making a difference and leaving an impact. The gap is standing in front of you. The gap is I. Now, when I say I, that brings up a classic question. Who am I? You're all very familiar with the question, who am I, in different contexts. But let me set out, actually, in response to this question, my professional persona. I would like to briefly share with you my professional persona. This looks like a very, very busy slide. However, let me walk you through this. What I tried to do here is to present you in one precise slide the background of my experience of 32 years as a professional. My qualification as a chartered accountant. I have also done short-term management courses at IMD Lausanne, Switzerland, INSEAD in France, and MCE in Barcelona, Spain. I've also done a CFO course with Deloitte CFO Institute. I've lived in 4 different countries, India for the first 24 years of my life and worked briefly as well. Then in Bahrain for 2 years, Singapore for 2.5, and the UAE for 24.5 years. My industry experience is primarily in construction, MEP, of course, Voltas, and also in facility management and water. I also have experience with energy, which was with Agreco for the 17 years that I spent with them, interim power. Also have some exposure to trading, to LDP, low density polyethylene, machine tools, chemicals, and inks. I also have some exposure to manufacturing, which is motorcycles, chemicals, diesel injectors, and HVAC ducts. In terms of the organizations with whom I've spent my life or career so far, it's primarily two again, with the Tata Group, with Voltas for an initial 9 years, and now my 5th year is running. And with Agreco PLC, like I've said already, 17 years, with a brief 2 years in a couple of organizations. Moving on to my professional experience, I started off as a management trainee with Voltas in Mumbai, India, Bombay then, moved on through various titles to then become a finance director for the international region, and also as a CFO for a listed company from Saudi Arabia on the Tadawul Stock Exchange. I've also held operational leadership roles, business development for Asia and the GCC, and as a commercial director for the GCC area. I've also held roles for supply chain or managed supply chain based operations for a refurbishment facility of engines, and also played a leading role for a Six Sigma initiative called Continuous Improvement in my old organization. I've also had responsibility for IT. And more recently, in the past 6 to 7 years, I've moved on from finance to take on P&L responsibility. And I've been the general manager for North Asia, covering China, Korea, and Japan, and more recently as a regional general manager for the GCC countries. My geographic remit during this period so far has extended to Fiji and New Zealand and Australia Pacific, all of Asia, Far East, Southeast, and South Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. So in essence, the entire Southern Hemisphere. My professional expertise is in the area of being a business leader, as a growth driver, and running and managing commercial and risks, and also, importantly, for a big part of my career, leading a journey towards world-class finance. Core competence are several, but I will pick 3, which are strong financial skills, extensive commercial skills, and people management. What I have to offer as a value addition to the organization is leadership skills. And that is straddling the big picture while paying attention to the detail, being hands-on and decisive, having creative thinking, being able to join the dots, and importantly, having values such as integrity, courage of conviction, mutual respect, being fair, and also having a strong team and a big network across geography and cultures. High energy and enthusiasm, a very important part of leadership, which I try to aspire to, and also importantly, I want to be a resource for others. Why do I set that out? Is to set the tone for the rest of my 15 minutes or so speech. I'm here this evening to talk to you about the gap, how I'm addressing the gap. I'm going to talk to you about the journey that I'm on to address the gap. What am I doing to bridge the gap that exists and has existed? I introduce to you a very important concept that I'm very, very conscious of. We are all born in this world for but a brief period. Whether it's 70 years or 100 years, it is a short period of time, believe me. I think we all know that. In this brief period, we're on this earth for, self-realization is extremely important. It is an expression used in physiology. You want to be good physically. Psychology, you want to be strong in your thinking. Philosophy, in terms of your approach to life and the world. And piety, which is your spiritual or religious approach. By general understanding, it is the fulfillment by oneself of the possibilities of one's character or personality. Also, this term, self-actualization, is used for self-realization. Many of you will know this gentleman, Abraham Maslow. I used to think he's an economist, but only recently realized that actually was a psychologist, an American psychologist who lived between 1908 and into the time after I was born, 1970. This saying says it all for me. What a man can be, he must be. This need we may call self-actualization. This again, many of you or most of you or all of you will be familiar with, which is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs for man or woman for that reason. First, the physiological needs, which are food, water, warmth or protection from the harsh sun, and rest importantly. We also seek safety and security. These are our basic needs as humans on this world. We then move on to craving belongingness and love from intimate friends, family, and intimate relationships with them. We then move on as we evolve to need esteem, the prestige and feeling of accomplishment by doing and accomplishing things. Eventually, as we progress through life and evolve as a society, we are interested in self-actualization, which is achieving one's full potential, including creative activities. This is self-fulfillment. As an aside, just on a humorous note, of course, we live in the digital world, a digital age. An interpretation of Maslow's hierarchy of digital needs. You have physiological needs. Toastmaster Murtaza is smiling. He always has his device. He looks for Wi-Fi, a strong connection, Bluetooth, battery on full charge, and a monitor which he looks at and keeps working almost 24 hours a day. Then you move towards safety needs. You use Google Maps, use Gmail for communication, and also Google Meet, and so on. You also have belonging and self needs you realize through digital accessories, which are WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and the like. And then as you move up, you look for esteem and recognition. You want to tweet like President Trump and be read and recognized by many, many people in the world. And as professionals, for self-actualization, we use LinkedIn, right? That's an aside. Moving back to the topic of a speech. So how am I going to address the gap that I have? And this is the key part of my sharing with you today. 9 steps. And this brings on my aspiration to be a professional speaker as well. Today is my opening speech to you, introducing these 9 steps. I will run through these quickly, but my plan and intention, and with your support, is to go on to develop 9 further speeches to make a 10 episode series speech on the topic, aspiring to make a difference and leaving an impact. So, the 9 steps towards bridging the gap. This is my own creation. The step 1 is a formula. Many of you are engineers, so I'm sure you like this. 5h to the power of c equals to SA. Any guesses? Self-actualization is the result. What gives you self-actualization? What is 5h to the power of c? I would not trouble you too much. H1, there is no substitute for hard work. Sweat and toil gives you results, as we all know. H2 is health. Unless you're healthy physically and also importantly in your mind, you cannot achieve anything. And I strongly believe being physically healthy helps you be mentally healthy as well. A lot of us are aware of that, and let's continue our health pursuits. H3 is being helpful. We all come into this world only because of our parents. And then we survive, we grow, we are nurtured, and we develop into who we are because of the people, the support society, the support system around us. If we get this from the people around us, we surely owe it back. We owe it to giving back to society. So let's be helpful as well. And believe me, there is no satisfaction, as we know, that we get from helpfulness as from anything else. In all this, it's also important to be grounded, to be humble, and be respectful of everyone that you come across in life. And 5h is humor. Like we all know, laughter is the best medicine. If we have a funny bone, do tickle it, have a laugh once in a while, and that's the best way to realize your effectiveness. What is C? The power of C. All this 5h is good only and only if you're consistent, and that, I will have to admit, is my single biggest problem. I do some of these, all of these, most of these, but my problem is I don't do it all the time. And that's my journey towards bridging the gap. So 5H to the power of C is self-actualization. We move on to step 2, what I call as facets of a gem. I've left that blank intentionally because this applies to any profession we are in, any role that we play. And what is that? It's the 4 different facets that I'll talk about. It's like a diamond. It has 4 facets, this gem. Facet 1 is the category basic number 1. Facet 2 is a category basic 2, which we all have to do as a given, non-negotiable to-do thing in our careers, in our professions, in our roles in the organization. In addition, you also need to support the people around you, and you become a differentiator by doing this support function to others. You cannot be a sole performer all the time. You need to work with a team. This already is good enough to be a good professional. But finally, one can aspire to be, which I aspire to, is to be a catalyst. A catalyst, as you know, is one who influences without authority. A catalyst who adds that special thing to what is already good. If you have that, you have a gem. Now, I've been a finance professional for long, so this is something I've actually developed and used and also shared with my team for the number of years that I was running an international finance function. And here it is. These are the facets of a finance gem. As a category basic 1, a finance person is a custodian of the company. He takes care of the interests of the company. He's responsible for the security of the directors to prevent them from going to jail. He does that through right time, first time, on time reporting, number integrity. Once he publishes numbers, they cannot be wrong. No surprises. You have to anticipate both good and bad things coming in the business and forecast a budget for them. You need to be the person who pushes policies and procedures and insists on controls and compliance. But while being firm, my request to all my team always has been be polite. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a non-negotiable category basic for finance. A second category basic for finance is to be a good operator. This you achieve by owning process end-to-end. Inquiry to cash, purchase to pay, with front-end controls, smooth and efficient process, system sophistication, process discipline, and no bureaucracy. Importantly, focus on cost and management of costs. This way, you become a business enabler. Third, you need to be a business partner. How are you a business partner? Don't give data to the business, give information with analytics, which is relevant, on time, and pre-agreed, automated as much as possible. Do also raise constructive challenge to the business and be a sounding board for the business people who are looking for a decision. In their mind, they're in a struggle. I have a gap to achieve my revenue and order booking target, but I'm concerned about the quality of the customer and quality of the receivables. What do I do? You can be a fantastic sounding board in such situations, right? And also be out and about in the business. It's so easy to hide ourselves behind laptop screens or computer screens and sit in our offices, but you need to be out and where you have to go out and be in the cold face of the business, as they say. And importantly, for the finance folk, give as well as take. How often do you call people and say, I need this report, I need this in 2 hours time, and the CEO has asked for it. That's the stick you wave at him to make sure that he gives you. He has to stop everything you're doing and then give the report. No, please give as well. And last but not the least, to be a catalyst, the finance team need to appreciate that next to the GM, you're the only person who has a bird's eye view of the business from one end of the business to the end, from business development to sales to booking a contract to contract conclusion, right to the end, realization of cash at the end of it, and same with the supply chain cycle. This is an opportunity as well as a responsibility. You are able to impact behaviors of people in the organization because you have an unbiased view. You have no axe to grind. You can influence even without authority, with a smile. That way, you become the voice of reason and a bedrock for the organization. So that was step 2. Step 3, it's extremely important to strike a balance whatever you do in life. And what am I talking about here? As professionals, we need, importantly, to focus on work-life balance. I'll be introducing some acronyms to make it easier for you to remember and take these away if you feel it useful, but this is what I apply to myself to bridge the gap. Work hard, of course, like I said earlier. Importantly, work smart as well. One needs to be both efficient and effective. What you do can be efficient, but unless it's effective, it's not very useful. But let's not forget that one has to do what one has to do. If you have a deliverable, you have to do it. Whether you have to sit late or work weekends, you have to. But then working smart, you can avoid it or reduce it. Remember, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, which I firmly believe. Same time, like my wife reminds me all the time, please get your priorities right. Please get your priorities right. It's family and family first. And then comes your professional pursuits, and then any other hobbies or interests. Step 4, get the required result. We do a lot of things in our life, whether it's personal, professional, on our own or with our teams. How do you ensure you get the right result? I'll say by SPECS. Again, an acronym for by doing and asking for support the right way. What do you do to get this? You have to be specific in what you want to do or what you want someone else to do for you. You have to give the purpose of what we are doing that for. And that person is more motivated now that he knows the purpose of what he's doing. Also have empathy in giving timelines or giving load of work. Somebody might be already loaded and then you go and dump more and say, I want it by this evening, like someone said, one of the speakers said 5 p.m. this evening, please. Give the context of the requirement as well. That is a hugely powerful help in deciding how you do things and what you do. Timeline, be realistic, be practical. If you've done the work hands-on with your own fingers, you know how much time it takes to do a thing. Please apply that. And importantly, standardize. Quite often we ask the same information of 5 different business units. And we just put a question. Each business unit comes back with a different answer in a different format. It's difficult for them because they have to think of the format and you have to put it all together in that way. Instead, give a standard template. That always helps in making it easier for them to do it, easier for us to assimilate and compile the information. We move on to step 5. Learn, collaborate, and have courage. Another acronym, less shy. A favorite saying of mine, shy boys get nothing. So be less shy. How do you do it? Be open to learning from everyone, anyone and everyone. Encourage yourself, motivate yourself, encourage the people around you. Share and collaborate. These are the 2 most powerful words that I know in the English dictionary. Share and collaborate. Excuse my French. Shit happens. Shit happens. Things go wrong. But more important is how you deal with it. Straddle the big picture and the details. Switch quickly between the 2. Have courage of conviction. If you're convinced about something, there's no issue. You can always do well. And remember, you cannot say please and thank you enough. Step 6, values. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Be firm, which is fairness, integrity, respect, and mindfulness. Step 7, draw inspiration from various sources. Everywhere you can draw inspiration. I like to say I'm shameless when it comes to stealing good ideas. Here's an example. A person with whom I worked for a brief 1 year, Amar Al-Dabad, the CEO and chairman of the Red Sea Housing Group. He's an omnipreneur in his own definition. So he wants to be involved in many facets of life while doing entrepreneurship. He has what he calls a life plan. This is what he sets out as sample goals for life area, which is personal enrichment, health, recreation, family, friends, community, household, financial, career, and spiritual. He has goals for each of these. And this is real. Here's a sample life plan, which I'm happy to share with you. So here's a person who has a motto, be a positive influence to the lives of others at work and home, and lead by example. Step 8, good to great. A very favorite author of mine, which I came across during my Six Sigma responsibility, was Jim Collins. Many of you will know him. He wrote a fantastic book called Good to Great, and this is a favorite segment from the book. All companies have a culture, he says, and some companies have discipline, but few companies have a culture of discipline. When you have disciplined people, you don't need hierarchy. And when you have disciplined thought, you don't need excessive controls. And when you combine a culture of discipline with an ethic of entrepreneurship, you get the magical alchemy of great performance. I have taken the liberty to adapt this to individuals. All individuals have culture. You and I have culture. Some of us have discipline, but few of us have a culture of discipline, which is me included. When you're disciplined, you don't need hierarchy. When you're disciplined thought, you don't need excessive controls. And when you combine a culture of discipline and ethic of energy and enthusiasm, you get the magical alchemy of great performance as an individual. Step 9, basics, improvement, and innovation. Over a period of time, as you grow your career, you need to initially focus on the basics. Spend time and effort on getting the basics right. And as you get across in your career and get the basics in place, think about enhancing what you're doing, improving what you're doing continuously all the time. And eventually start off innovation as well. Innovation is the key to the game. So, gentlemen and ladies, I conclude by summarizing and recapping the 9 steps towards bridging the gap between my aspiration and then my goal to be a person who makes a difference and leaves an impact at the end of my time on earth. Step 1, the formula 5hc to the power of c equals sa. Steps 2, facets of a gem. Step 3, striking a balance. Step 4, get the required result. Step 5, learn, collaborate, have courage. Step 6, values. Step 7, draw inspiration from various sources. Step 8, go from good to great. And step 9, focus on your basics, improve along the way, and innovate when you're ready to innovate. And that, ladies, gentlemen, and Toastmasters, is my pitch to you. I am going to come back to you and request your support for me to make my next 9 episodes of speeches. And I will do this in person, physical meetings. I'll do this as an audio podcast, and I'll do this as a written blog as well. I request you all to give me feedback for improvement from where we are. Thank you so much for your attention and listening. Thank you so much. Over to you, Toastmasters. Thank you so much. Thank you.